What's going on, everybody? Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Halftime Chill, presented by Coors Light. Will Peterson, James Merlatt, Rachel Beal hanging out with you. We break down the first half. The Broncos leading the Ravens 6-3. The Broncos defense continuing to do what they do by keeping this team in it, Will. Are you surprised by the score at this point?
Well, I just wanted to show off my buff shirt real fast. So I'm excited for this afternoon. I'm excited for 1:30. I know a lot of Broncos country fans are excited for that as well. It's going to be interesting. Prime is getting introduced while this game's going to be late in the second half, and right now it's close, so we'll see. So, sorry, Rach, ask me the question again. My apologies.
Are you just surprised by the score? I'm happy for the Buffs. Obviously, I'm a CSU Ram, so while it kills me a little bit to know the Buffs are going to be better than the Rams probably for a few years or years to come, as a Colorado girl, you got to be happy for a Colorado team. But my question to you is, are you surprised by the score of this? Because I thought that we were going to see a blowout here in the first half between the Broncos and the Ravens.
Yeah, listen, the good news, honestly, for Broncos fans is this defense, they put those past two bad performances behind them, right? Like, they look shaky against the Raiders. They look awful against the Panthers. And it's the same defense today. They're flying around. Jonathan Cooper sacks Lamar Jackson. That's the story of the game. Lamar leaving with the injury. So am I surprised the Broncos have 6? Of course not. Am I surprised Baltimore only has 3? I am. And you know what? That's a credit to this defense, because we all thought that maybe that the shine had worn off, their motivation had worn off. They made some business decisions last week, and they look motivated. They do look like they care today. So that's an encouraging sign for Broncos fans. It actually is.
Yeah, but who do we give credit? Because somebody deserves credit for that, right? I'm with you, Will. But is that Nathaniel Hackett? Because this is a team that has no reason to be out there flying around. They're 3-8. They're playing hard. Or is it Idro Evero? Like, somebody deserves the credit for the fact that this defense came to play. We shouldn't be surprised, though. Other than last week, this is what every Broncos game is, right? It's always close at halftime. Typically, they're better in the first half than they are in the second half. We come on here, we talk about, hey, they've got 10 points. Russell Wilson today, 10 of 13, 112 yards, 102 passer rating. Like, we've done this before, but can they come out in the third quarter and build upon that or be any better? Because as we've seen over and over and over again, second half, they just fall apart. They were fine in the first half. They were actually pretty good in some ways, but will they be able to build upon that and get and show something in the second half? I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, we've seen this team struggle to not make adjustments at the half, which is where it really struggles. And, of course, then we get on here for post-game, James, every single week, and the frustration just continues to boil because you have a little bit of hope for this team.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, they played well in the first half. And I know 6 points is nothing you're going to get excited about. And offensively, they're still struggling on third down. And Jerry Jeudy's drop there right before the half was a big one. But if we're being fair, there were more positives than negatives in the first half. There were. But, okay, now who's going to make a play, right? Like, defensively, they played well. But did they make a big play? Nope. The ball bounces off of Andrews. It's up in the air for a second. Can't get the interception. Like, somebody's got to make that play. We'll see if really for the first time this year they can finally do that in the second half. Finally.
Well, and real quick on that too. Listen, they lost the coin toss, right? So they finally got the ball first. We've all been arguing, except why are you deferring? It's not working in the third quarter. That first drive was really good, and it was still a Brandon McManus 52-yard field goal. That's the point we've reached with the Broncos this season, right? Of like, oh, man, they're throwing over the middle, and Russell hits Greg Dulcich on a long one over the middle, and they're getting first down after first down, and Twitter's going crazy, like, where's this been all year? And they still kick a 52-yard field goal. That shows you how low our bar is for this offense right now, that a good drive resulted in a kick that's 10 or 12 away from the record in NFL history.
But Russell Wilson's got 3 incompletions. 2 were throwaways. The other one, Jerry Jeudy dropped. Like, that's a good throw. So I guess he had the one that was behind Cortland Sutton. So 1 throwaway behind Cortland Sutton, and then Judy's drop. So
well, real quick, James, they did call that Jeudy a catch. They called it a catch. Right. He was just a half yard short. Yeah.
So the ball behind Cortland Sutton and 2 throwaways. I thought he had 2 throwaways. So it's like, all right, he's been pretty darn good, and they have 6 points. Like, you're right. They have a good drive, and it's still a 52-yard field goal. It's this offense just – they're so in the mud that even when they're playing well and Russell Wilson's playing well and Latavius Murray ran the ball pretty well, they still can't get anywhere near the end zone. It's amazing.
Well, there is one bright shining spot, and that is Greg Dulcich, who again has looked good. He's like the missing piece that the Russell Wilson just needs at all times. And then Jerry Jeudy comes back into the mix, and it helps a little bit. But what's been interesting to me is Courtland Sutton only does have the one target. The number one wide receiver for the Broncos only has one target, and obviously not ending up in a catch, Will.
Yeah, and we wrote about that this week at DENvsBAL, right? Nathaniel Hackett saying in this press conference on Thursday, we have to get the ball to Sutton. We've got to find ways to get it to him. He's our number one guy. And then they come out on Sunday and can't do it, right? Like, let's quit calling Sutton a number one. And that's not your fault, Rachel. That's not anyone's fault. But he's not a number one NFL receiver. He's just not. Maybe he was trending that direction before he tore his ACL in Pittsburgh, but the guy just has not been the same. And that injury was over 2 years ago. So it's not like we're talking about something that happened last year, that happened more than 2 years ago. We may have to just accept the fact that he's never going to be the same player ever again.
Yeah, that contract goes in the long list of things that George Paton has done that make you scratch your head, right? Like, Courtland Sutton is probably a decent number two receiver, but okay, he's playing the number two receiver role today. Jerry Jeudy's back. Jerry Jeudy's the best receiver on this team. He's still been a huge disappointment, but when he's healthy, he is the best receiver on this team. So Courtland Sutton's a number two today. He's got one target, no catches. Like, he's just and if you watch the All-22, if you watch the film, he just never gets any separation. It's not like Courtland Sutton's running wide open and Russell Wilson just doesn't see him or just misses him. He's just a total non-factor. It's disappointing. And, he deserved a ton of credit for playing last year, and he was out there not 100% and, battling through it. But at this point, he's just not a very dynamic receiver. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. And Pat Surtain the past couple of weeks has not looked too good, but he's definitely looking a little bit better here today, Will.
Yeah, it's kind of the larger theme of the defense, and he's sort of the key guy to focus in on, right? Because he got torched by Davante Adams against the Raiders, including the walk-off in overtime. He was not good against the Panthers, including a couple big DJ Moore plays and a touchdown. And it's sort of like, as Surtain goes, this defense is going to go. And also, guys, as the edge rushing goes, this defense is going to go. Jonathan Cooper getting a sack. I believe it was it Deshaun Williams in there early on, too. Like, it just sort of feels like this whole group is kind of thrives off each other, and Surtain not getting burned sort of motivates everyone else. Because I think when you're watching your best player give up big plays, it's like, man, we're just toast today. So, yeah, like James says, though, he hasn't done anything spectacular, but he hasn't done anything noteworthy. And that's a big improvement from the last 2 weeks when he was a huge point of conversation.
Yeah, the Ravens were significantly better once Tyler Huntley came in the game, though. Right? Like, Lamar just did not look like himself even before the injury. He was, kind of stationary back there. So it's kind of one of those things of, you think as a Broncos fan, not that you ever want anybody to get hurt, but like, hey, Lamar's out of the game. That's good news. I'm not so sure it was, because they moved the ball significantly better when Tyler Huntley was in the game.
Okay, so let's just pretend that the Broncos have made adjustments this entire season in the second half, and they've come out and they've always adjusted. James, where do you want to see the biggest adjustment to be made?
Boy, that's a good question. Because again, offensively, like they've done some things well. Like, they've moved the ball. Again, Russell Wilson's stats are good. My favorite thing in the first half is it's basically been the Latavius Murray show, right? Like, you guys have heard me rant and rave about the fact that I hate running back by committee. It wasn't that so much Javonte and Melvin that I didn't like one of them. It was just pick a guy. It has been Latavius Murray. He's been the feature back, and then you get a little sprinkle of Mike Boone. He comes in as a change of pace. That was good. Honestly, Rachel, and this is going to sound like a Nathaniel Hackett answer, I don't know that I would change anything. Like, what they did was pretty effective. I don't know, maybe take a couple more shots downfield just to stretch the defense a bit, but they outplayed the Ravens. They were the better team in the first half. Fingers crossed that you can do it again. Honestly, that's a bad answer. It's a long-winded way of saying nothing, but what they did worked. Just, you got to keep it going in the second half.
Well, but I think they need to be more aggressive. I think you got there at the end, right? On 3rd and 5 on that first drive, they run a draw play.
Yeah.
Like, come on, what are we doing running a draw play? And then, guys, right before half, 4th and 1, 4th and a half yard, you got nothing to lose. You get up to the line and you just try to draw them off sides and settle for a McManus field goal. Show a little guts. I don't know if that was a Jerry Bear decision or a Hackett decision, but it just wasn't one that I liked all that much. So those would be my adjustments. Is let's play to win the damn game. And to quote Herm Edwards, and listen, 3rd and 5 draw and 4th and a half yard kicking a field goal. Come on, let's play with a little more guts here in the second half.
Yeah, I'm with you. At some point, you do want to play the game right straight up, but at some point, you also got to realize you're 3-8. You're on the road in Baltimore in a game nobody expects you to win. Like you have a chance, so push your chips in. And you're right, Will. That's exactly the adjustment. You got to be a little more aggressive. You got to play to win. That first half, it was let's play to keep it close. Let's not make mistakes. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot. If they're going to pull it off in the second half, they got to do something like that. So I think you hit the nail on the head.
And I've seen a ton of people on Twitter and even in the comments here today talking about why on 3rd down are they never throwing beyond the sticks? Why are we always throwing behind the sticks, which is so frustrating. And I know this offensive line is bad, and I know they can't protect Russell Wilson, but just try. Like, why not? Why are all of the plays designed behind the sticks? It's frustrating for me, James.
Well, and part of that is it's on Russell Wilson, right? Like throwing short of the sticks is okay if that's the receiver that's wide open, right? We all watched the play that the film breakdown from last week where Latavius Murray on the 3rd and 8 when Russell ended up throwing it out of bounds trying to hit Tomlinson or Saubert or whoever it was. Like Latavius Murray's right there wide open up and he's short of the sticks. But there's nobody near him, so he's going to catch it and he's going to get the first down. It's throwing it to a receiver that's covered short of the sticks or who's running an out route where you just push him out of bounds and he's going to be short. That's the problem. It is a little bit, though, you can't just say they always do it because he stepped up and found Greg Dulcich on 3rd and 11. And if you're looking for bright spots, the ability to convert on 3rd and 11 because your quarterback can step up and buy some time and find a receiver downfield, that's the piece of this offense that hasn't been there most of the season, certainly hasn't been there the last few years. That was an encouraging thing. I know we're searching for it at this point because it's 6-3. We're searching for high points, but that was Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson. That was the kind of thing we need to see more of.
Yeah, I get the occasional Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, Noah Fant flashback. I do, which we all thought that would never be the case when they made the trade for Russ. But short of the sticks, right? That was the Noah Fant special because the guy could never break a tackle. He'd always catch a 4-yarder on 3rd and 5, a 6-yarder on 3rd and 7, whatever. But here's the other thing, guys. Real quick, just to put a bow on this, and I think we're getting close. But this point in the year, when you're 3-8, you kind of want your team to lose because that means you're getting a good draft pick, baby. And the last time the Broncos picked number 2 overall, it turned into Von Miller. There is no incentive for them to lose. That pick is going to Seattle. We don't like Seattle, and every game they lose, they want that pick gets better and better for the Seahawks. So if you're having any reservations about that, don't, because Nathaniel Hackett's gone either way, and Broncos wins means the Seahawks pick does not get better. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. My last one. Oh, actually, it looks like we're coming back, so we'll talk about this post-game. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us.
They're going to win.
James Merrilat, he said it here first. Let's go. This was the game I had circled for the first toughest game on the schedule for the Broncos team way back at the beginning of the season when we all thought that they were going to be phenomenal and score a lot of points. But that's going to do it for Halftime Chill presented by Coors Light. Thanks for hanging out with Will, James, myself, DMAC, myself, and James will be back for post-game, and we'll see you guys all then. Go Broncos.